Evening, punters. After a big day here in Australia, we just had the Golden Slipper. And of course, I actually had this pre planned, obviously. This wonderful lady has taken out another Golden Slipper with Lady of Camelot. How was your day, Nath? Did you pick the winner in the Golden
Yeah,
Slipper?
yeah, did actually. Had a few bets in the race, to be fair, but Switzerland on top. He was very poor today, but yeah, no, Lady of
Hmm.
Camelot gave us a win on the race. So I had someone on Traffic Warden as well. He ran a bolter, ran the fourth in the slipper as well, but a very good day. Not just that, obviously the Ramvent via Sustina, bit of European form was awesome. Um, and then also even the Oakley Plate, bit of an upset with the likes of Zapateo. So look, it had everything. It was just
Yep.
a terrific day of racing. And then even at Moonee Valley, we had Imperatriz bouncing back to her best form after getting beaten in the Newmarket. So great day here in Australia, and then it just gets even better tomorrow with the Hong Kong Derby.
For sure, and that's why we're here. This is why no one sent through any names for us, mate. So we might have to
Oh,
go with
well,
one of
come
those
on.
wrking names. I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll
we
just
can
throw something out there,
wolf
see if
pack
it
it or
sticks.
something. But anyway, yeah, exactly right. Well, the first thing we're gonna do is gonna have a look at the last feature because it's been 2 weeks. We had to skip last week because there was no feature run.
Mm.
So the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup. So I'm just going to grab that up for us. It was quite an intriguing race. Do you agree,
Mm.
Nath, as I get the replay up?
Yes, it was. There was a few interesting runs in behind. Look, full. Let's start with the winner. Full credit, right? It has to go to California Spangle and also Brent Avdulla with an absolute peach. Just jumps, goes on speed here as we start looking at the replay. Look at the way they've jumped here, and I think that's sort of a key indicator of where the race was won, and that's here at the start. You can see here
Mm.
California Spangle just doing his best work, jumps on speed. You see the two other main chances, Beauty Eternal. He's now third last, one off. And then Lucky Swain S, three wide, no cover the trip there. As you have a look there in the yellow silk, she's now second last. And the race never eventuated for him. It just never got into the race. And J Mac and also Zach Purton, a little bit of jockeyship, I guess you could call it, towards the rear of the field. No, I'm not going to let you in. No, I'm not going to let you in. And it sort of undid both of them.
Mm.
While Bretton Avdullah's minding his own business up on speed there, you can see Red Lion in behind in third. He ends up running a hole as well. And then the talk for this Sunday as well is Galaxy Patch. You can see him there on the inside. He's third last, blue cap with the blue and yellow checkers. And he runs an absolute bolter here as we get to the 450. But, Reedy, what were your sort of early assessments and now getting into the home straight of this one?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one. Obviously, we spoke briefly, you and I, about the jockeys, the little challenges at the back there between Zach and James, and yeah, it's interesting to see, like to hear the stewards report. I suppose I almost said excuses. They're not excuses. They're in the stewards report talking about what happened and whatnot. And I suppose at the end of the day, both logical and they're both world class riders for a reason. And I'm just an armchair jockey. So um, I think you'll agree with me too. The Taj Dragon was a bit plain. I thought he
It
had
was.
quite a nice run throughout. I'll let the replay keep playing while I'm talking. But it was interesting that California Spangle. The whole race was outside of standard, I want to highlight those middle sections. The second and third section, the standard for this course and group race, 22:20, and it was running 22:83. And
Mm.
then slightly quickened up again in the third section, but still way outside of standard. And then obviously almost inside of standard in the last section. So Spangle really, California Spangle and Brenton Abdullah, what an awesome ride. He absolutely controlled that race from the get go. And you know, what do you say about him? He's a brilliant front running rider, Brenton Avdulla. Lasquetti Spirit is a prime example years
Yeah.
ago. But
Mm.
yeah, absolutely dominated in the sectionals in that middle part by California Spangle. And it's interesting to note that seven of the 10 runners in this race finished in the top 10 for the last 400 meters
Mm.
sectional of the afternoon. So Galaxy Patch number one, and then Beauty Joy. And you'd be interesting to know that Beauty Eternal was number 3 on that list,
Mm.
considering the run it did have. And Lucky Swain S in at fourth, followed by Red Lion in fifth, California Spangle in sixth, and Taj Dragon in eighth,
Mm.
surprisingly. So, yeah, really interesting. And it was said in the stewards that light rain may have aided California Spangle a little bit. But I tell you what, hats off to Brenton Avdulla. That was an absolutely amazing ride, and the times, as I said, like it's in the proof in the pudding how he backed it off in that second and third section.
Exactly. And I think you're spot on. I think you got to give full credit to the winner, really. I mean, when you run a race like the way he did, you're a more chance to win. Like we talk about, positivity out of the barriers is so key, particularly when you're talking about these big, high pressure races. If you can get yourself there, put yourself in a position, you're always a much better chance. Well, like we said, like things happen during a race, and obviously J-Mac and Purden, it was easy to see what was happening in the back of the field in terms of how the race unfolded for them. Then you do have to, I think, there is an element of adding in the fact that it was on a bit of a wetter ground. I probably wasn't, I wasn't bogged by any stretch of the imagination, but
No,
there was a bit of firmness taken out of the ground. And I think you do take that into account when you've seen in the past, particularly Lucky Sweynesse, he hasn't been as good with that sting out of the ground. You only have to reference that race where he got beaten convincingly by Victor, the winner. Yes, he had to give him weight, but he was still just okay on the ground, I thought. So maybe some more excuses for some of the beaten brigade. But overall, like we said, I think when you run a race like that and you put yourself in the position to be, to click over those slower sectionals, you're going to be right there in the finish. And that's exactly what happened. Like you said, even Red Lion, despite not finishing off maybe the quickest of the, the beaten brigade, he was still there whacking away because he put himself in a position to do it. So I think, all in all, California Spangled to get back in form as well. Let's not forget. I mean, he was well beaten the start previous, and so to come out and do that, I think is a real, testament to Tony Cruz as well as a trainer and the way he was able to, get him to peak again, and then Brenton Avdulla with a classy ride.
Yeah, and we gave him none at the start.
Absolutely
but
none.
saying that, how the race panned out was absolutely perfect for California Spangle. And it again, when I mentioned about the 7 of the 10 runners were in the top 10 for the last 400, that just shows how slow that middle section was. And they were able, it was a sit and sprint, and California Spangle just took off with it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at the odds for the weekend, which is the Hong Kong Derby. I'm going to have a look at Bet365. I think that's the way we'll go with this one. So let's have a quick look at Bet365. Interesting little market here, Nath. As we were chatting just before, we had a few firmers in the last 12 to 24 hours. None bigger probably than Chibi, which was about 23s into 17s. Anything stand out for you here?
Well, it's funny, we were talking about Helios Express, whether or not you'd have in the market elect at the moment. Market says yes, $2.70 at the moment. Look, barrier draw, I think, is going to be key to his winning chances. We'll talk about that in a second, obviously. But I think it draws a better barrier. Do you lower that price? I don't know. Do you look at Galaxy Patch here, coming off that Group 1 effort? I mean, he's got to be respected, and the market's gravitated. $5, $5.50, I think is fair enough. Massive Sovereign on the back of that win, $6.50 per on. And then Ensued and Cheng Glory there as well. So, look, an interesting market. A few that I do think are a little bit over the odds still, even the likes of your Chilchibis and even a Starmac, Helene Feeling. All these horses coming out of that Hong Kong Classic Cup, obviously, is the way. If you think you want to get Helios Express beaten from that form line, you're looking to those to sort of turn the tables and which one could it be. And they're letting you on. There's no doubt about that, because outside of himself, the next best from that race is Ensued at $10. So the way you can break it down there is pretty simple. Can you get this favourite beaten? And if you do, from that form line, you'll get a price.
Yeah, exactly right. It's interesting to note. So in that last 24 hours, I'm going to base it off Bet365 because that was what I was looking at. So Helios Express was 290 into 270, which is surprising to me. Galaxy Patch 650 into 550. Massive Sovereign 8s into 650. Ensued is the drifter. Cheng Glory drifted slightly. Starmac come in and Chilchibi came in. So, quite interesting. I still think Chilchibi's slightly over the odds. He's starting to come in to that price that you probably have him for a back marker. But when he was in the 20s, it was, I know a few of people who were on Twitter, like Flat, on the Flat, he got on Chilchibi nice and early. So good luck to him in the race. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick look at the speed map. The first one I want to bring up is the Hong Kong Jockey Club speed map. This is what the Hong Kong Jockey Club have come up with. So we've got Cheng Glory in front. Helene feeling Beauty Crescent. Ensued stuck out on a limb with Unbelievable behind him. Massive Sovereign. Chilchibi on the fence. Back there with Star Mac and then Galaxy Patch Helios Express. Would you change anything there?
I wouldn't change too much. I think the two drawn wide are the interesting ones. Galaxy Patch, he's drawn obviously out in 14. I think he's got to go back. He showed last time he drew 9 of 10 in the Queen Silver Jubilee Cup. He can be versatile enough to go back, find that position. Look at Helios Express. He's drawn nothing but good gates his last 3 starts. You have to go back 4 starts ago where he actually drew poorly, and he ran third on that occasion back in Class 2 company. So interesting to see what they end up doing there from the wide draw. Hugh Bowman's got a big decision. I don't know if he can go back to last from that gate and be a player in this race. So it's interesting to see how they've got him mapped. You go back to the front there, Chen Chen Glory, he'll do his thing. He'll roll along, put himself there. I think Beauty Crescent could also go forward and put himself up on speed, probably sit outside the leader even, maybe not get the back, depending if they want to get cover. In Shoot, I think a lot of people are going to have a lot further forward rather than sitting on a free wide line. I think that's a key factor as well. Go back in the field, look, Chibi. I think, 3 pairs back, 4 pairs back, somewhere there on the rail. Star Mac's the interesting one for mine. They've got him mapped a lot further back than I do. I've got him sitting a lot closer in the run, or at least hopefully sitting closer in the run. And if he does, I think he becomes a major player as well. And then a few of those horses drawn awkwardly, like you see there, you're going to try and find themselves lobbing in for cover. And if they don't, they may find themselves cast, because I don't see them going at breakneck speed here. I think it'll be an okay tempo, but I don't see any genuine sort of speed in this race. Very similarly to how the Ramvent was played today at Rosehill. It was a smaller field today, obviously, but there's no genuine pacemaker here for mine. So it'll be interesting to see if this one turns into a sit and sprint.
Yeah, well, as Zach Purton alluded to during the week, that even that 1,800 meter race was a bit, it was a bit of a muddling run affair, and there's a good chance it will be again here. And the constant chat is there's a handful of horses here that don't really need to be here, but are, and that they will, piddle down the ratings pretty much once this is all over. So it's just a matter of highlighting those quality horses, and I think most people have. It's just the quality, unfortunately, hasn't drawn ideally leading into this. So rather than me elaborating on that one, I just wanted to chuck up my. A lot of people on Twitter have already seen it, but my Hong Kong Derby speed map, and I had Chen Chen Glory going forward. I have Shu going forward outside the lead, if not just in behind. Helene Feeling with the cheek pieces back on, and James McDonald. I don't see them being negative on those two. Will that put more speed in the race? Maybe, but you'd think Chen Chen Glory would lead by himself. Look, mine has Helios trying to slot in. It'd be interesting to see what Hugh Bowman actually does. I think he'll try and slot in personally. I think that's his best chance because he's going to get heats back. He's going to run up backsides. And he had such an economical run last start. And it was, it was a great ride. Like, he got out in time, and it was, he only had to sprint for 200 meters, and that was it. And that was perfect. And Chang Chang Glory, obviously, on the pace, but he's not going to get the same thing. Helios Express here. Galaxy Patch, I think they will end up going back. It's just all this speed on its inside is just going to push it out. And then the ones that we've already were talking about, Star Mac, I agree with you. I think he's got very little speed inside him with Carrying Generation, Chilchibi, and Elliptical. I think he can push forward and follow. He get on the back of Beauty Crescent if Beauty Crescent can get over to that rail, which he should. Looking at this way I've done the speed map, I think he will. And Star Mac right behind him, and then they will push Chilchibi back 3-4 pairs back at least. So, it'll be interesting. Would you change anything on the one that I've done, mate?
No, I see it pretty similarly. I think, look, the one that I did forget to mention is Helene Feeling. I think they've got to be positive. I think he only sort of, I do think he's better ridden with cover, but he's another one that I don't see making up a stack of ground from the back half of the field if they want to be negative. I think they have to go forward, put themselves in the race. I do think Cheng Cheng Glory is the clear leader here, and that's the thing. Unless Inshoot does go forward, or even a Helene Feeling goes forward and puts that pressure into the race, I just think it'll be a sort of, a middling tempo. Whether they go inside standard or not, I'm not sure, but I don't see them going too quick here. with the rail in the A as well. You got to remember that. So we'll see early in the day how the rail's playing. Usually it's a pretty fair track when the rail's in the A position. So when the whips are cracking, I don't think they want to be trying to get too far off that inside. And so it'll be interesting to see if runners get some bad luck, particularly some of these ones drawn to the inside, like you alluded to with your elliptical, Star Max, and even K-in Generation. So if they don't get much luck, they might have a few horses falling into the lap anyway. So really interesting map for sure. But I think the guarantees on this map, Chen Chen Glory goes forward, and the likes of a Galaxy Patch has no choice but to go back. I do agree with your assessment as well. I think Helios Express has to go forward. I think he goes forward. He tries to lob in for cover because I just can't see him getting back to sort of last, second last and looping the field based on what we've seen over the mile and then 1,800 meters.
And that's the hard bit of this 2,000 meter start. We saw it with Romantic Warrior. I know things panned out perfectly and it was a brilliant James McDonald ride, but Helios Express hasn't got much till that first turn to really, he may end up having to do a little bit of work to get in. So, but interesting you mentioned about the A course. I actually had a look at this season, especially like over distances. And so there's been 51 races run over the A course this season. Would you believe that anywhere positioned probably 2 to 4 holds the highest percentage for win at 33? So I had 17 out of 51, followed by the off pace, which I've dedicated as positions 5 to 8. The smallest percentage is leaders, but not like over the 1,200 meters though. 1,200, you got to be in that front 4. And they have won 14 of the 19 races. So it's just quite interesting the way the stats line up, especially in the A course. And the further you get out, the more chance you're given to those who are running on, which is going to enhance the chances of Galaxy Patch, Star Mac, Chilchibi. So it'll be interesting to see, as I said, what they do with Helios Express. And one that we haven't mentioned there is Massive Sovereign. And Zach Purton is not a negative rider generally. So I'm expecting him to go forward as well, which is really going to put pressure on Helene Feeling in shoot and possibly Helios Express on trying to get in. So Massive Sovereign will have to slot in somewhere midfield. But but outside of Chang Chang Glory, anything on the inside, aside from Beauty Crescent, there is not much pace, if any. So it's all drawn out. So, but while I load the next thing, Massive Sovereign, mate. Do you think he'll lob midfield? Do you think he'll get enough adequate cover?
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Purton does. I think he's a pure stayer based on what we saw first up. I think he's a down-out stayer, so I don't think he'll be overly concerned with cover. I think he's a horse that probably will be able to sustain a little bit of wide no cover pressure if he lobs outside. So I do think he goes forward. I think he tries to find a position, but I don't think he's going to be overly concerned with slotting in. I just think he looks like a tough, staying type. I believe he's formerly trained by Joseph O'Brien or Aidan O'Brien. One of the O'Briens, I'm pretty confident, used to train him. So I think he's just a tough European stayer that will be able to sit in an awkward position throughout. So I'm not overly concerned in that regard.
All right, let's get on to the replays for the runners. Now, we did view this one earlier, but I just want to highlight the one runner coming out of this run a fortnight ago and in Galaxy Patch. As you said, this one here with the stars and the blue. I just want you to have a quick look at his run. Right here, he just looks like he's not doing much at the moment, and it really comes down to that final 200 meters. He really gets the rockets going. It's almost like pressing the NOS button in a Fast and Furious movie, and he absolutely comes from nowhere to pinch second. I guess the query, obviously, with a lot of these is 2,000 meters. What are your thoughts around Galaxy Patch and the 2,000 meters as I play the replay for the final 200?
Yeah, that's the issue. That's the query with him. You know, that's the probably the only query with him. Obviously, the gate's not ideal. He's drawn wide, but we saw he drew wide here. This was 1,400 meters. Now he goes straight to 2,000 meters. We have seen this done in the past. I'm pretty sure Pinghai Galaxy or Pinghai Star, pardon me, did it in the past for John Size. So we've seen a similar setup before. Look, is this an afterthought? I don't know. Is this always the plan, going back to 1,000, 1,400 meters, and then up to 2,000 meters? You see the way he bullocks through the line here. And like you said, he was only getting warm late in a slowly run race. So you'd have to imagine he's still got more to build off here. If this race on Sunday was a mile, I think you've got to have him on top. 2,000 meters, that's the only issue. Does he run out at strong 2,000 meters? And I'll tell you what, at $5.50, I think they're letting you on. I'll say that. I could have marked him a little bit shorter than the current quote, particularly with Helios Express drawn out as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. The blinkers came off in this run. He was entitled to fly home, as you said, given the pace, and he beat home some good horses. He really picked up that last 200 meters. He was about 3 to 4 lengths off him, so he ran the quickest last 200 of the day as well as the quickest last 400. Yeah, you'd imagine 2,000 to be fine. He's bred by Wandjina, and Wandjina's sires generally have done all right over most distances up to 2,000 meters. So, yeah, it's interesting, as you said, the afterthought. I think they just run out of time originally for the early bit of the 4-year-old series. You'd have to think that he would have been one of the way he's run in, especially like his run here, that he would have been something else had he just had enough time to get into this 4-year-old series, especially going up in distance. So, yeah, I think he runs well. I think the draw does make it a little hard, but as you said, I think because of the money that they started off with Helios Express, I think Galaxy Patch is slowly but surely, he's becoming a bet, providing he doesn't come in too much more between now and I think I'd probably jump on the 550 now. I'm a little bit kicking myself that I didn't take the 650 that I saw this morning, so I'll take the 550 as soon as this is finished, and I'll use that for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm just not brimming with confidence. Let's just say that with the barrier draw for Galaxy Patch. What shall we look at next? Let's have a look at the Class 3 2,000 meters, which was on the same day as the Classic Cup, and it featured one that made heads turn, I suppose you could say, in Massive Sovereign, and also had Simple Hedge. There's a big gap in the market, and you'll see why as I get the replay happening here. First run in Hong Kong. I've got to turn that volume off. First run in Hong Kong, and he absolutely blitzes them. Something that doesn't happen that often. What were your thoughts around the run? And were you one of the ones who had their heads turned and went, "Oh, maybe"?
I think initially, yes. Looking at it on face value, you had to be. It was just so impressive.
Definitely.
Seeing a first up Hong Kong horse, Dennis Ship, obviously a plan here to kick him off. Once they picked him up, they had confidence. He had a few nice trials. And then Zach Purton jumps on board and you think, hold on, there's something brewing here. And then sure enough, he comes here first up and puts an absolute bolting effort in. I think everyone turned their heads, particularly at the price. His SP profile coming into this, he ESP'd around $8, $9 on this occasion. So the market was strong enough, first up for a European horse, first up, 2,000 meters. It's never usually a great recipe. So the market found him well enough, even with Zach Purton on board at around the $9. So there was confidence that he'd run well. I don't think there was confidence he'd do this. From here, you'd think, okay, he's got a nice midfield sit with cover. He'll peel out and he'll look the goods. But it's the way he sort of careers away from them in the last 200 meters that was very impressive. Now, the thing that I think we both talked about when we reviewed the Classic Cup was, when referencing this guy, was how does his time rate comparatively, and how does he set up going into a race like this at 2,000 meters? The answer is I don't know. Could this form be good enough to come out and win the Derby? Might be, but I don't know that based on what I saw, he can beat the likes of Helios Express, Galaxy Patch, and even a few others I saw out of the Classic Cup. Now, because what did he beat up on here? I mean, we're talking about Simple Hedge. Like you said, the market doesn't want to be with him. And then a few other horses in behind. They're not exactly seeing the world on fire. You see Billionaire Secret there. He's just in behind him. He runs on for third. So is that the right form for this race? I don't think it is, but it wouldn't shock me if it was.
And this is him here on the outside, the yellow and blue. He just lets down, and it really did make your head turn on the day. But as we discussed, and as it keeps coming as we do the form, is what did he beat? He had a brilliantly economical run. And as Zach said, he beat home some tired horses. So it'll just be, there's no doubting that the distance is fine. It's just going to be the class of him and how he goes. As we will watch the final 400 meters, he does it in second going into third gear here, and it's it's brilliant to the eye, isn't it? It's the way he streets them, but what did he beat? And I suppose it's a tough one coming into this 4-year-old series. We hadn't seen him. This was the first time we saw him. It was reflected in the market. They weren't sure how he was going to do. He is held up there, like on the line. But the draw makes it a bit of a tough assignment, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. Look, he just missed my top 4. I'll full disclosure there. So it wasn't like I'm potting him by any stretch of the imagination, but I just had a few in front of him that I just wanted to be backing, particularly at the prices. I think he's come up short enough now. I think if you got on first up, like I know some of us did, I think that price is, that price is gone. You're going to get probably $6 on the day. I don't think that that's juicy enough odds to warrant what I think his place is in the market. I would have him marked around double figures, sort of around maybe the $11, $12 mark here. Again, though, you just got to respect it when you see a horse come out and do that. A little bit of second up syndrome as well. We've seen horses, do something like this and then not be able to replicate it. So there are just so many question marks with him that I couldn't be spending my money on him. That's the only question mark I've got.
Yeah, interesting. And as I said, like he won a 3-year-old race ran second in a 3-year-old race over the mile in Ireland, and then the winner of that handicap over 14. But then he comes out to Hong Kong and runs over 2,000 and wins like that. So maybe we'll see. But he's got the 2,000 meter run on the board. But again, it's a tough one. He is as you said, he's probably getting short enough now where you just sort of like, nah, I don't think I'll go that way. There's too many like queries around the form coming in for him, but Zach's sticking with him, which is positive. He maybe didn't have it. Well, he was on Helene Feeling last start, so did he jump off or did J-Mac just snack the ride? But it'll be interesting to see how all that plans out with that. So the last one we'll look at, which has 11 of these runners running, which was the one that we did our first recording on
Capacity Field
for the Classic Cup over the 1,800 meters. And as we discussed last time, I did have queries over Helios Express over 1,800 meters. Obviously, we won't spend too much time on this race because we really did nut into it last time. Runners to watch: Chilchibi, Star Mac.
Yep, 100%. I think they're the two that were sort of closing off strongly. And then obviously Helios Express, you see him there in the midfield position there, 2 back on the rails. And, I think a lot of punters heartened their mouths if he took the short quote, but was eventually able to get out under Hugh Bowman. Once he does, he knuckles down to the task, beats Chang Glory there. You can see, again, as you watch this replay unfold, interesting to see there, Beauty Crescent. That's the one on the outside of Chang Glory there. That one goes forward and sort of puts himself in a position as well. So interesting to see what he does on Sunday, if he wants to sort of put himself up on speed and get involved in that speed battle, or if he tucks him for cover. So another one to sort of put down in your diary in terms of what he'll do. But then you see, again, back in the field there, last of all, you can see Chilchibi on the rail, and then 3 wide on the outside. That's Starmac. And he's the one that's drawn a lot better this time to get a position. Same with Chilchibi and a few others that would definitely prefer, get a much more economical run in transit. But yeah, look, I just think I think this has to be the right form. You see horses go through the series mile, 1,800 meters, then 2,000. It's generally the right setup. Sometimes you can find others outside of it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Galaxy Patch or Massive Sovereign become major players. But what about you, Reedy? Were you seeing this as the major form line in terms of what you want to follow?
Yes and no, I suppose. Like obviously Galaxy Patch is bringing in that unknown form, but he's got that superstar quality, and we'll talk about it all the time. That again in next season, I think he's going to be a better horse. I think we're all in agreement there. It was interesting, as you pointed out, that Beauty Crescent there and ensued. Both maps went forward. I think they go forward again. I think Beauty Crescent with that gate and where the 2,000 meter start is, I think he has an ideal advantage to go forward. I think he will again. I think it may turn out similar with Ensued on the outside there. So I'll just keep playing the replay. Helene Feeling, again, I thought had its chance here. Gets the cheap pieces back on with the blinkers coming off the top of my head. He's better than most of these, but probably not better than the elite group. Chill Chibi, obviously the one that's highlighted. He's definitely still slide overs, and it was such a tough run. Star Mac, I agree, finished off well and probably will settle a lot closer. Chang Chang Glory leads again. Interesting that William Buick's riding this weekend on Chang Chang Glory. And if he gets a similar run to last start, you would think that he would be just as strong over with the extra 200 meters. Look how just strong he was here late, holding off. And even I think we alluded to it at last time that Hugh Bowman was even impressed with the horse on the inside, fighting him to the line. And look at the gap back to third. I know like Star Max hit the line there for fourth as well. But you'd think that the quality, Helios Express has the quality. It's just the distance that we're querying here, that I'm querying anyway. And I thought he still did a bit wrong, even though he had an economical run. But the quality of the field, like I've written a suit off. I don't think I was with him in this run, and I've put a line through him completely now. I don't think from the draw, Ryan Moore aboard, I don't think he gets even close to Chang Chang Glory as an example. But again, it all comes back to the run in transit for these horses. But what are your thoughts on Ensued? Do you think he is a chance at all, or do you have him outside of your first half?
Yeah, I've got him outside. I just think he got a very, very good run there. I think he's sort of peaked very early in his campaign. He showed up to Hong Kong, he went bang, bang, and then he was sort of, very consistent. And now he's just finding a very tough grade of horses, I think. I think these are a pretty good group of 4-year-olds he's run into overall. And so I just think now it's getting a little bit too tough for him. I think he gets an okay run from the gate. He's going to have to go forward, and maybe he ends up sitting outside leader. It might be economical enough for him to sort of get a soft run, but yeah, I found him a little bit lower in my numbers. I couldn't quite find him. It didn't make my top 5, I'll say that.
Yeah, interesting. It was quite an interesting race, that one. And we're now going to jump into our selections for this weekend. So I will just grab up the right one, hopefully. And you'll see why in a second, friends. So this is our top 4, Nath. You're on. It's up. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Starmac on top. Look, I know there's a few eye catchers in that run from the Classic Cup. I'm trusting that form line here. As you can see, no massive sovereign in the numbers. But the other one is Galaxy Patch. I'll talk about it in a second. But Starmac here, I just think he gets a much better run in transit. You saw he was the widest turning for home in the Classic Cup. He had to do a lot of work. He peeled to the outside. They didn't go overly quick, and I just love the way he knuckled down. He finished 4th. He beat home a few really nice horses there, and now getting to 2,000 metres. This has been the David Hayes plan for a long, long time. Karis Teeton here, he obviously would have booked the ride a long way out. I wonder, interesting if you could ask him, if he would take the ride on Galaxy Patch over him. I'd say he probably might, but the fact he's still sticking with Star Mac, he's had this horse pegged for this race a long way out. I think he gets a much better run in transit to sit sort of maybe 2 bears back on the rail. And if they start to fan out, like they can do, again, the rail's in the A position, they might start fanning out. He might just get that lovely split and hit the front a long way out, whack away, and hopefully hold off some fast finishing talented horses. So I'm going with Starmac on top. I think as well, just on a price basis, I think you'll get a great price, and you are getting a great price. I think double figures for him is fair enough. He is very lowly rated in this race, but it's just because he hasn't won yet in Hong Kong. He's had a few runs, but this is his D-Day. I think this is his chance to become a Hong Kong winner and hopefully a Derby winner for followers with him. So Starmac on top. Galaxy Patch, I've got him in for second. I think he's got to be in your numbers. I think he's a very good horse. The query's the 2,000 metres after a 1,400 metre run, but that was a testing 1,400 metre run against the older horses that were very much quality. He's beat home Lucky Swain S. You've got to respect that. And yes, he gets to 2,000 metres, but if he runs the trip, I think he probably wins the race, in all honesty. If he runs the trip, gets an economical run, he's probably the de facto on top pick if you're looking at this race without markets. In for third, I've gone with Chilchibi, another one I think is just over the odds. I think, that run in the Classic Cup was sensational. Looks like he'll eat up 2,000 metres. And as the stable alluded to, if this race was at Happy Valley, you'd have him so much shorter in the market. He loves that track. But now he's going to be able to wind up at Sha Tin. Like, he wasn't able to properly in that race. And if he winds up and knuckles down to the task, he's one that's just come up silly odds. And I've respected Helios Express there in for fourth. I wanted to make a bolder case for him, but I just can't. I just think he gets too far back unless Bowman takes luck out of the equation and goes forward. If he finds a nice spot, he will definitely be right in this, but I've just got him mapped a bit further back in the run. So little bit of a question mark as to where he gets. So he just rounded out my top four. But Starmac, Galaxy Patch, Chilchibi, and Helios Express in my top four. Reedy, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the 550 about Galaxy Patch with Bet365. I think that'll hold up nicely. And you know what? And if there was any query leading into the weekend, a bit to tomorrow, about the rider on here, I think Blake Shin absolutely nailed it today. You wouldn't want a better bloke on your horse leading, like after the day that he had today at Rose Hill, coming into tomorrow. Hopefully, he has just a good day tomorrow, another great day, and Galaxy Patch gets a nice run throughout. It's just a matter of when they're going to start the run because, as he saw, like it took him a little bit to warm up. So it's just a matter of what sort of run he gets throughout and when they decide to make their move. So, but again, the horse has won 5 from 9 with 2 seconds. So I think the quality's there. I'll harp on and on that he'll be better next season anyway. So, yeah, Galaxy Patch 550. Chang Chang Glory in for second. I think just purely because there's not a lot of speed in this race, and I saw how tough he was late in the 1,800 meters. You can get $16 about him in Sportsbet at the moment, so I'd take that compared to the 11 on Bet365. So I thought that was overs for him. I think he can run a nice race, and you know that he'll be in a prominent position throughout. And the way him and Helios Express beat the rest of the field over that 1,800 meters, I think over 2,000, he should be fine. I think it's going to be similarly run, you would think. So Chang Chang Glory should be there when the whips are cracking. Chilchibi, I'm on the Chilchibi train with the rest of Twitter by the sounds of it. Obviously not the same price as what they got, but I'll have a nibble at 17. They'll be the three that I'll play around tomorrow at those prices: 550, 16 for Chang Chang, 17 for Chilchibi. A massive sovereign in for fourth because he's a 2,000 meter horse with Zach Burton on, and I still think he's better than a lot of these. Whether he's as good as some of the other ones we've mentioned, I'm not sure. But I still think he's better than half this field. So honorable mentions, obviously, to Starmac and Helios Express. You can't have them all in your top four, but they'd be the sort of 6 that I would be playing around, which we're going to show in the next thing because we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have $100 to spend. It's a bit of fun, so we'll just base it off the tote and have a bit of fun with it and see how they go. As I bring that up, this is how you play your $100, Nath?
Yeah, I've got them in order of selection. So Starmac obviously on top, but I'll just have 20 on him. I think you're getting a fair enough price to back him. I think, right now you're getting around 15 to 1. I think that's more than fair. I think take that price. I think, he probably starts around that though tomorrow. I don't see him getting backed heavily, maybe into around 11s if there's any late money for him. But I think $15 is fair enough. Like I said, he's my, not my main play in the race, but I'm saving on him. My main bet's Galaxy Patch. I'll have 60 on him. I just think he's the class. If he gets the right run, he'll probably beat Starmac if he gets the right run, economical run in transit. So I want to be respecting him, and I want to win on him if he does win. So I had to have something on him. I'll have 60 on Galaxy Patch, and then another 20 on Chilchibi, and that's another saver along with Starmac at those $20 a piece. I think they're fair enough prices. They're just overs. And I think, I want to win the race on those if they get the job done. So 20 on Starmac, 20 on Chilchibi, but the major bet will go 60 on Galaxy Patch. Despite the fact I haven't got him on top, I just think he's the major bet, obviously, in terms of how you want to get a return.
Yeah, exactly right. And at the end of the day, you got to play to get that nice return. I didn't tell you beforehand, but I might keep track of these. We'll see. We'll see how I go against you this weekend, and if you win, we might start at a week. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
well, that's fair enough.
I'll go 30 for Galaxy Patch for me, 20 for Chang Chang Glory, and 10 for Chill Chibi. I think the prices pan out nicely in that. Looking at the prices they are now, most of them you'll get a roundabout collect the same, except for probably Chang Chang, who's drifted out a bit. So the $20 on him would go a long way. And then the other two that I mentioned, chuck them. Other two that I mentioned outside of my top four, chuck them all in for a $50 box Quinella. You're getting 333%, so 3 times your whatever it comes in as, and you got 6 of the 14 horses. Not too bad, considering, as we've alluded to a few times, the lack of quality throughout this race. With any luck, with some of the prices, Helios Express, if it doesn't run top 2, and some of these others do, it might be a nice little Quinella. So we'll see how that all pans out. But that's the way I want to play it, just so that I can still be a little happy, hopefully, if Starmac or Helios Express run bold races. Because I tell you, knowing my luck, it'll be one and there'll be something else that'll bolt out of the ground. So ensued, it'll be ensued. The one that I've written off. But anyway, Nath, thanks for coming and having a chat again about the Hong Kong Derby. We had an all right response with the first video, but again, a bit of fun for us and a bit of chatting about Hong Kong racing.
Yeah, always a pleasure, mate. Appreciate you having me on. And yeah, hopefully we get a few watches and hopefully they enjoy. Look, big day of racing tomorrow. Outside of that, a few nice types going around, some interesting runners. So obviously full tips from us will be out tomorrow. So hopefully even more outside of the Derby. But hopefully we find a winner and hopefully we find the punters something to follow.
Definitely. And so enjoy tomorrow. It's a cracking card. Remember, gamble responsibly, obviously. And good luck on the punt tomorrow.